What's up, guys? Got kind of a video reply for you here today. One I was actually not planning on doing whatsoever, but I watched my buddy Steve over at S&T Young's video, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago maybe, and I just really liked the idea of talking about my favorite Swedish death metal records. It's a scene that gets an absolute metric load of attention, but it's just something that I feel like has some stuff that doesn't get the love that it really should. There's fans of all these records, but definitely a couple of these I think really get, swept under the rug, comparatively speaking. I've been on a huge power metal kick. So in the background, we're listening to Mob Rules with Temple of the Two Suns. This is a German melodic power metal band. Absolutely awesome. This is their second record from the year 2000. I really like this more bombastic, symphonic sound of power metal. I love obviously the more American, I guess, sounding power metal where it's really speedy and a little bit more intense, and this is a lot more bombastic and methodical. It's really, really great. Big fan. And we are drinking an Allagash North Sky beer here. It's a great stout. It is just a regular stout. No kinds of milk stouts or nitros, nothing like that. Paige went over to the liquor store and she grabbed me some beer. She knows what I like. She knows what I drink. So she picked this one out and I like it quite a bit. This is not the first one I've had. First one I've had today, but not the first one of this beer directly. It's in Australia. What are you yelling about, Kronos? You guys probably hear him in the background. I don't know what he's talking about. So, before I start yammering on like an idiot some more, I got it to 10 records I chose. I didn't want to do more. I didn't want to make this a 40-minute video or anything crazy. And obviously there's tons of Swedish death metal albums I love. I omitted At the Gates' Slaughter of the Soul. I omitted Left Hand Path and Clandestine. I omitted Like an Ever-Flowing Stream. Stuff like that. Sorcery. Just stuff I really, really do love. Tons of what Steve's video was I literally love every one of those records. So there's a couple crossovers, but I actively tried to not have too many unless I felt like I had something else to say other than what he was already talking about in the video. So first one, got the Merciless hat busted out for today too. We're going to talk about Merciless. This is one of my favorite metal bands of all time. Absolutely amazing. This is actually my favorite Merciless album. I love all three that I own. I haven't heard the newest one. It's, I guess, technically a comeback record or something like that. But this is where I think their high point really was. The Awakening's absolutely top tier as well. But the Treasure Within, man, this record is just so unbelievably good. It has all of like the thrashy creator feels, the thrashy Teutonic thrash style of The Awakening, but it has a lot more of it's even more catchy than The Awakening. The Awakening has a really raw, really old school feel to it, which obviously this does too, but it's, a lot more 80s sounding. This is really starting to embrace the rise of death metal coming around at its time, and it's still really thrashy. It's got tons of riffs just all over the place that are constant earworm, headbanging, brilliant tunes. It's just such a good record. I showed you the inside, I think, maybe. I don't know, but it's just something that's almost beyond words for me. I enjoy it so much, it's hard to just kind of put it into words. I mean, you guys know what heavy, catchy stuff sounds like, and this is the epitome of that as far as I'm concerned. So, Merciless with The Hidden Treasure. Or The Treasures Within. Sorry, what am I thinking of with The Hidden Treasure? Some kind of pirate crap. I must have too much power metal on the mind. Next, this isn't a straight up death metal album, but this is Brave Murder Day by Catatonia. This is so much more than just death metal. Catatonia is just an absolutely moody band. All throughout their career, they're creating moody atmospheres, weird kind of progressions to the whole genre entirely. You know, influences from gothic music, more, I don't want to call it symphonic stuff, but the keyboards and the layers and stuff. It's a really well thought out band, especially in these early days. This specific album has Michael Ackerfeld doing the harsh vocals, but Jonas, or whatever, however you say the guy's last name, the vocalist, he's also participating. But this is just suffocatingly depressive and dark and somber, and this is super fall sounding. You know, you hear this record and you're like, oh man, it sounds like falling leaves. It sounds like the whole world around me is about to start going dormant. It's absolutely a journey. It's just a classic record, and it kind of transcends between black metal, doom metal, death metal, gothic metal. It's just a wonderful homogeny of such genres, and it really touches kind of all over the place. There's definitely a blackened tinge to it, I would say, or at least an influence from some of the atmospheric qualities of black metal at the time. It's a great record, man. You guys have all heard it. A lot of these are stuff that's not new to anybody. I mean, you guys got to know a ton of this stuff. What, Kronos? Whatever. This next one, not a record. Demo compilation, though. This is Demo Years, The Eternal Forest by Dawn. I know what you're thinking. It's a black metal band. Kinda. But this one, no. This is a mid-paced melodic death metal. Kind of before melodic death metal was really a huge thing. Necroticism was out, which I guess was kind of a start, but Heartwork wasn't out yet for at least 91 or 92. But it's really like early years of really well done, super melodic death metal. It's super catchy. The vocals are cool. It's a low, typical death metal vocal, but I feel like most melodic death metal bands tend to employ the higher register vocal more than the low guttural death metal growl, and I think it's a nice change of pace. I mean, there's definitely melodic death metal bands that have low growls, you know, like Spawn of Possession and stuff like that, but you guys get what I mean. It's nice to hear on an old school, raw sounding production like a demo like this. Obviously, there's something in the water in Sweden. The melodic taste is just absolutely chef's kiss perfect. It's just something to really sit there and digest to. I mean, it's not as common in my experience that a demo is going to be as brilliant as maybe a whole concept after you guys have been playing those songs for 4 years at your rehearsal space, stuff like that. But for whatever reason, they really hit the nail on the head with these 3 demos, specifically the Eternal Forest / Apparition. It's great. Dawn rules. Next, this is a little bit more of a straightforward one, but a record that's kind of out of press, and it is just something that I think doesn't get loved nearly enough. This is There Can Be Only One by Inverted. So I picked this one up, Kronos. I picked this one up off of eBay. I'm 99% sure it's a Russian bootleg, but whatever, bite me. This is a great record. If you like, you know, early Morbid Angel, the Altars of Madness, kind of Abominations of Desolation style of old school kind of hyper speed, angry death metal, that's kind of a little bit more feral sounding. You'll definitely like this one. If you guys kind of wanted more of Altars of Madness style death metal, I think you guys would definitely get into this. And beyond that, there's not all that much to be said about it beyond that fact that it sounds like Morbid Angel. But, you know, honestly, what band at this time was not like, hey, I really like Morbid Angel? I think that's just a Swedish thing. Kronos, you're really making life difficult here. So I'm going to fiddle with this afterward. For now, I'm going to bother this guy while he's sitting here pestering me. But speaking of brilliant Morbid Angel riffage, Deliverance by Opeth. This is probably my favorite Swedish death metal album of all time. It's definitely my favorite death metal band of all time, and it's my favorite album by them. I absolutely love this record. Deliverance kind of changed my whole view of death metal, my whole thoughts about music and what's heavy and what's not heavy and what's supposed to be done in a certain genre in comparison to we're going to change the world around us to accommodate for how good we are. Opeth is really good about that. All the years that they've kind of meandered through genres and different styles, I think they really killed it with this double album of this and Deliverance, or Deliverance and Damnation, excuse me. It's proggy, it's well thought out, and what got me into them was the song Master's Apprentice. This video of them playing it at Wacken in, like, I don't know, 2008 maybe, and I was like, wow, this is like the riff that it's really well done. They do such a killer job of writing songs that feel disjointed and progressive, but really are perfectly homogenized in the way that it's supposed to be for kind of a progressive band. I mean, otherwise prog gets really annoying in a lot of ways for me. Not a huge prog guy, but this record, man, it's hard to argue with. Deliverance by Opeth. Now, I don't know what your guys' opinions are on Opeth. I feel like I find people that are like, oh, I only like their first couple, or I like everything up through Watershed. What's your guys' opinion? If you guys have strong ones on Opeth, let me know. Next, I'm going to try to fly through these for just cuz. Next one, Of Life. Passage of Life. Sorry. Excruciate. I was reading the front. Excruciate is a great Swedish death metal band. This is another one that was also in Steve's video. This one, it's a little more brutal. It's a little bit more angry, and I noticed I like that a lot more in a Swedish death metal band. I'm not as nerdy all about like the HM2 death metal as a lot of the fellows on YouTube, or just general death metal fans seem to be. Like, I would have included Unleashed and all these other things that are just amazing. But I tend to, like, really put on a pedestal the Swedish death metal bands that don't sound as Swedish. And these guys really brought in, like, the early brutal death metal style to an extent. I don't know if you guys are hearing it too. Maybe I'm just, like, wishfully thinking about it and having it pop into my dome. But it's a great record. Yeah, it's heavy, it's catchy, it's dense, man. This production value on here is super thick. Very wonderful. Huge fan. Definitely check out Excruciate if you haven't. Cronus is being surprisingly well behaved right now. I guarantee he's going to start acting up since I said that. Next, this is again not a regular death metal album. This is Dark Side by Necrophobic. Man, is this band great. This is a band that I think needs so much more love, it's not even funny. I like pretty much everything I've ever heard from this band, but this album in particular, I think, is their apotheosis, the absolute top. Their first couple records are absolutely stellar, but this one, it blends the melodic death metal, old school death metal, and like the kind of black metal tendencies that they have perfectly well. I feel like how Dissection teeters the line but leans towards black metal, Necrophobic teeters the line and leans more towards death metal. This is from '97 on a Black Mark, by the way. I can't understand why this isn't mentioned in the same breath with Sacramentum, Dissection, The Moaning. Probably because it's a little bit more death metal leaning than those. But I would highly recommend this to any fans of stuff like that. Unanimated, maybe even more of like your war metal guys. You'd probably find something to like about this. Again, for the time, it sounds a lot like Altars of Madness era Morbid Angel, as you probably would imagine. I mean, it's a Swedish death metal album. I feel like that's by far the most important record for all those bands. But yeah, you guys hopefully have heard this. If not, get on that. Next, another textbook band that was pretty early for me. This is Nightmares Made Flesh. What do you bite me for, cat? Absolutely great. Peter Tachtren is a great vocalist on this one, though I am much more partial to Michael Ackerfeld as a vocalist than I am Peter Tachtren. he just does a really good job in this. The songwriting is great. I mean, Cancer of the Soul, Soul Evisceration, Eaton, Stillborn Savior, Blood Vortex. I mean, it's just top shelf. Basically like the beginning of the revival of Swedish death metal was, you know, Bloodbath and like Entrails, I would say. It's great. It sounds just like those early bands, HM2 death metal, catchy, fun. I feel like this is a little bit more memorable than a lot of those bands, at least catchiness-wise, but it's done with a really good production, which some might argue is a bad thing. Whatever you think, Bloodbath is great. Next, I got two more. So this one was also one that Steve mentioned in his video. This is Subconscious Lobotomy by Sentinex. This is an absolutely stellar record. This is also a ridiculous album cover, as you can probably see. If you guys haven't heard this one, get on it now, because this one is out there. It's got all the regular trimmings of a regular Swedish death metal album. The darkness, kind of atmospheric, but this band has like weird keyboard passages. This band has lots of odd stylistic choices that really make them all on their own, and I think it's a really, really interesting band. As cheesy and goofy as some of their visuals are, they almost have like a weird prog to them, a weird change of style that's different than everybody else. I think that's something that really polarized them from the rest of the crew in Sweden there. He's being nibbly right now. I don't know what his deal is. He's not usually like this. But Sentinex is a great band. I would recommend you listen to this one if you have not. Next, it's going to be Internal Caustic Torment by Wombbath. Also one that Steve mentioned in his video. I cannot argue with anything that he says about this one, man. This is such a great record. Again, another band that I feel like leans a lot more towards American style death metal, a lot more aggressive style wise, a little bit more on the brutal tinge to an extent. It's not as like it doesn't have like the same slop level as maybe a band like Epitaph would, which obviously Epitaph writes great records. That I have it right behind me. I actually had it in a stack, but it got annexed compared to the rest of them. But this one in particular is, it's really replayable. It's almost something that I crave to listen to pretty regularly. I get in the mood for it. It hits the spot when it does. And I can't say enough good things about such a great classic record. Glad to have it in the collection. Check out the killer album cover. Somebody should like reissue a long sleeve of this one. This particular one comes with the Brutal Might demo and some 7-inch material, like several shapes EP, and then I don't know what Silence Unveiled is. I've never actually made it there, but yeah, absolutely great. So that'd be my kind of reply sort of to Steve. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What are your guys' lesser known Swedish death metal classics? Leave them in the comments for me. Keep it greasy.